Hey, I want to talk to you about CT scans and why I never recommend coronary CT scans. Now, stay tuned because if you've done a coronary CT scan, I'll talk about that. But let me just dive into what happens with CT scans. The coronary CT scan, looking for coronary calcification, for example, is often recommended by cardiologists. It's recommended by hospitals. And there is essentially one major reason why hospitals do it. It's because it generates revenue. So what happens is that the hospital puts out this low cost coronary CT scan advertisement. And now you as the consumer, you go there and you have it done. And now your calcium score is abnormal. You've got elevated calcium in your arteries. And then they say, okay, well, now that have that, now we can start getting into more things to bill your insurance company for various tests. Maybe they'll order a stress test next, which is the most likely scenario. That could, of course, lead to an angiogram. That can lead to a stent or surgery. All the while, you probably had no symptoms whatsoever. So, again, the CT scan, I think, is just a loss leader from a business standpoint for the hospitals. And again, now they can charge your insurance company for this stress test and they've got you in the system. And this is just horrific. Now, even natural medical doctors would recommend a CT scan, and they do so for a variety of reasons. But ultimately, I'm against that because I don't like the radiation exposure. They may say it's not much. Any kind of radiation exposure outside of what's in nature would be bad. So we want to avoid that. Radiation causes heart disease, causes cancer, causes brain disease. Now, a lot of conventional cardiologists recommend coronary CT scans as well. So they'll do that in order to, again, get you to have a stress test, get you to come in for more visits. And then ultimately, they'll use that to start you on a pharmaceutical. And most commonly, that's a statin drug. Now, statin drugs, actually, according to many studies, including one back in 2015, shows that statin drugs actually increase the amount of coronary calcification, likely because statins interfere with vitamin K, specifically vitamin K2. So again, never get a coronary CT scan for prevention. Again, looking for blockages. If you have symptoms, then you're best off having a stress test, preferably non-nuclear, a stress treadmill test or a stress echocardiogram. Or if you have symptoms, maybe the next step is an angiogram. Now, ultimately, a natural heart doctor, we like to talk to people and see if we can address the symptoms naturally. And oftentimes we can improve and even get rid of symptoms totally. I've done that many times in my career. But there really is no reason to do a screening CT scan. Let's just assume that you've got coronary artery disease. What are we going to do about it? Well, it's the same thing then. If you have been told you have coronary artery disease, what are we going to do about it? Well, I'm not going to recommend aspirin. I'm not going to recommend statin drugs. I'm not going to recommend injectable PCSK9 inhibitors. Not going to recommend any of that. I'm going to recommend that you follow our philosophy and common sense of eat well, live well, think well. And we break that down in different videos and of course on our website where we talk about what does eating well mean, what does living well mean, what does thinking well mean. So we do all that. And then we do the most advanced testing in the world, which is non-radiation based. We look at advanced markers in the blood and in the urine and in gastrointestinal testing, sometimes salivary testing. We go so much more in depth than what the standard testing done by cardiologists is. So much more in depth than what I would call the 1970s testing. And then ultimately, we use that testing to guide us further on eat well, live well, think well. And then we can use that testing also to dial in evidence based supplements and maybe other biohacking strategies, sauna, red light therapy, cold thermogenesis, all these different things that we do. So, again, when you're under the care of a holistic and integrative cardiologist and cardiology team, these are the things that we do to make sure you're on track for your 100-year heart. So again, if you are thinking about getting a CT scan, don't. please feel free to contact us. If you have done a CT scan, that's okay. It's in the past. I never recommend to have it again. Contact us and we'll help you prevent, treat, and reverse coronary artery disease naturally.